Well, he's not here. I'll promise you.
You and I could get married if you wanted to. That would get you right in.
There are 7 billion people in the world. So when one of them behaves badly toward you, he's actually doing you a great favor because he's saving you time. He's telling you that he's not worth your while.
Keanu Reeves never got married, and for years, no one really knew why. Now, the silence he's kept for decades is finally cracking.
Yeah, so, you know.
I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover.
I don't know, no, because if you're a lover, you gotta be a fighter.
How so?
Because if you don't fight for your love, what kind of love do you have? No.
When he took roles most actors wouldn't dare touch, it wasn't just acting. To many, it felt like a confession without words.
Come here, Mike. What's this like?
For years, whispers followed Keanu Reeves, and through it all, he never once shut them down. But there's a reason Keanu Reeves never got married. And this time, we're finally pulling back the curtain. Let's get into it. There's always been something about Keanu Reeves that sets him apart from everyone else in Hollywood. He's the guy who can walk into a room, say nothing, and still have every head turn. He's played everything from love-struck time travelers to gun-toting assassins. But the one role he's never taken on in real life is that of a husband. Keanu is now in his 60s. He's never been married. And the longer that fact has stayed true, the more people have started to ask, why? In an industry where even the most private stars eventually settle down, Keanu has remained a bachelor through and through. No elaborate wedding, no long-term wife tucked away in a mansion somewhere. Just Keanu. Always showing up alone or with someone you'd never see again after the premiere. For decades now, he's stayed mostly single in the public eye, even as people tried to read between the lines of his quiet life. But the real question started in the 1990s, right when his career was exploding. After Point Break and Speed turned him into a leading man, the tabloids couldn't get enough. Yet even with all the attention, Keanu refused to play the Hollywood game. No flashy relationships, no over-the-top love stories, and that's when the speculation started to snowball. Then came the David Geffen rumor. Out of nowhere, a tabloid dropped a shocking story. Keanu Reeves had supposedly married billionaire music mogul David Geffen in secret. The story claimed there was an undercover ceremony, hidden from the press, friends, and even close family. No photos, no hard proof, just gossip. But here's the thing, Keanu didn't deny it, at least not the way people expected him to. Most stars would have called a press conference, hired a lawyer, put out a statement blasting the press. But Keanu? He stayed silent. He never confirmed it, never denied it in some dramatic fashion. And for some fans, that silence spoke louder than words. Especially in the 90s, a time when being openly gay in Hollywood could ruin your career, Keanu's refusal to shut it down made people think he was hiding something or protecting something. Suddenly, he wasn't just a heartthrob. He became a kind of mystery icon in the queer community. Some saw him as an ally. Others believed the rumors were true and admired him for not bowing to the pressure to explain himself. Either way, he became more than just another leading man. He became a symbol. Keanu has never been one to spill his secrets. He dated women, that much is true. But those relationships either ended quietly or were never built to last. None ever ended in marriage. Not even with Jennifer Syme, the woman he had a daughter with. Their story ended in tragedy when they lost their baby, and later when Jennifer died in a car crash. After that, Keanu disappeared again. Over the years, people have thrown every theory in the book at his bachelor status. Some say it's grief. Some say he's hiding his true identity. Others say he's just a lone wolf by nature. Whatever the truth is, Keanu isn't offering answers. And maybe that's what keeps people so fascinated. In a world that shares too much, Keanu Reeves shares almost nothing. And in that quiet, 1,000 rumors were born. By the time Keanu Reeves starred in My Own Private Idaho, people were already paying close attention to his every move. But this movie changed everything. It wasn't just another role, it was a statement. Whether intentional or not, that film marked the beginning of something much deeper, a personal mystery that began to blur the lines between Keanu's art and his reality. In Idaho, Keanu played Scott Favor, a rich kid slumming it as a street hustler. River Phoenix played his friend Mike Waters, a narcoleptic drifter searching for love.
How do we get home? That German guy, Hans.
The two shared screen time that felt more like watching two people fall into something unspoken and vulnerable than just acting. One particular scene, set around a campfire, remains one of the most quietly intimate moments in LGBTQ+ cinema. When Rivers' character confesses his love, Keanu's response is soft, not dismissive, but careful. It felt honest, raw, like it might have been more than just fiction.
Come here, Mike. What's this like?
It was the kind of performance that made fans wonder if it was pulling from something real. And maybe that's because, at the time, no one expected a rising action star to say yes to a role like that. Especially not in 1991. Especially not when the rest of Hollywood was still treating queer stories as career killers. Keanu didn't just say yes, he committed to it, fully. And he never once tried to explain it away or distance himself from the character afterward. That's when the photos started resurfacing. Theater archives and fan communities dug up black and white images from an obscure 1984 Canadian stage production called Wolf Boy. Keanu, just 20 years old at the time, had starred opposite Carl Marat in the homoerotic play. It was edgy, weird, way ahead of its time. But the photos, they said even more. One in particular made the rounds on fan forums. Keanu and Carl, shirtless, leaning into each other like lovers. Not in some performative, staged way, but natural, close, intimate. There's one where Keanu is in tight white briefs doing push-ups, completely committed to the wild energy of the story. At the time, the images caused a stir. Some gay fans literally ripped the posters off theater walls and kept them. Because this wasn't a movie, this was a teenage Keanu before the fame, already pushing boundaries. Fast forward to the mid-90s and Keanu had gone global. Speed turned him into a household name. He was suddenly the dreamboat everyone wanted. But while tabloids tried to pin him with every female co-star, nothing stuck. Sandra Bullock? Friends? Charlize Theron? Rumors, but no confirmation. Sofia Coppola? Dated, but brief. The press kept trying to turn him into the typical Hollywood hunk with a revolving door of model girlfriends. But Keanu never gave them anything solid. And the gay rumors? They never went away, especially after the David Geffen story dropped. Now, whether or not he ever married Geffen is still up for debate. Most believe it was just a rumor that spiraled out of control. But here's what made it stick. Keanu never laughed it off. He never treated it like an insult. In a time when many male stars would have felt the need to clear their name, Keanu stayed silent. He didn't fight the label. He didn't rush out and pose with a bikini-clad girlfriend on a yacht to crush the rumors. He just kept living his life. That silence made him a queer icon almost by accident. Not because he came out or because he confirmed anything, but because he didn't deny anything either. He didn't play by the rules. He didn't owe anyone an explanation. And for a generation of fans, especially LGBTQ+ folks who were used to being erased or ignored, that meant everything. Keanu wasn't waving a flag, but he also wasn't hiding. And maybe that's the most radical part. In an industry obsessed with labels and narratives, Keanu kept his private life completely unlabeled, which only deepened the mystery. Who is Keanu Reeves really? And why has he never felt the need to clear any of this up? Whatever the reason, one thing was certain. Keanu Reeves had found a way to exist in Hollywood without ever fully giving himself to it. He would show up for the work, deliver unforgettable performances, and then vanish without a trace. No red carpet PDA, no long-winded interviews about his personal life, no oversharing. And while the world tried to put a label on him, gay, straight, confused, closeted, heartbroken, Keanu never played along. That refusal to define himself only made people more obsessed with figuring him out. Every quiet moment became a clue. Every photo was a potential piece of the puzzle. Every absence, a new theory. If there was ever a time the world thought Keanu Reeves might finally settle down, it was with Jennifer Syme. She wasn't just another tabloid name. She was someone real, someone important. And for a brief moment, it looked like Keanu was stepping into the next chapter of his life, the one with a wife, a family, a future. Jennifer wasn't an actress or model chasing the spotlight. She worked behind the scenes in the industry, a quiet soul with a love for music, film, and poetry. The two connected instantly. Friends say it was one of the few times Keanu seemed open, unguarded. She brought out something in him people rarely got to see: joy, comfort, softness. In 1999, everything changed. Jennifer became pregnant with their daughter. The media barely caught on. Keanu, true to form, didn't make any announcements or statements. He kept it all private, as if trying to protect something sacred from the noise of the outside world. But tragedy struck just weeks before the baby was due. Their daughter was stillborn. The loss shattered them. Keanu reportedly fell into a deep depression. The grief was too big, too raw. He and Jennifer tried to stay together afterward, but something had shifted. They broke up quietly without drama, but there was still a bond there, something unspoken and unfinished. Then, in April 2001, another devastating blow. Jennifer was killed in a car crash in Los Angeles. Keanu once again disappeared from the spotlight. No interviews, no paparazzi shots, just silence. People close to him said it broke him in a way nothing else ever had. He wasn't just grieving a partner, he was grieving a child he never got to raise, a life he almost had, a future that slipped away twice. And just like that, whatever chance there had been for a traditional love story was gone. Some fans believe that was the moment Keanu stopped trying, that after Jennifer, he gave up on the idea of marriage altogether. Others think he never really believed in the institution to begin with, that his silence wasn't just about privacy, but about a quiet resistance to norms that never fit him in the first place. Either way, Jennifer Syme remains a ghost in his story, the almost wife, the what if, the only woman he ever publicly deeply loved, and the one who left him before anything could be made permanent. After Jennifer, Keanu's already quiet personal life became practically invisible. He worked, he acted, he rode his motorcycle through LA streets like a lone cowboy in a modern western. Every now and then, he'd be spotted having lunch alone or reading in a park, and every single time, the world would ask the same question: why is he still alone? But maybe that was the answer. He wasn't alone because he couldn't find love. He wasn't single because he was hiding something. He was alone because he had loved deeply, and that love had been ripped away in the most brutal way imaginable. How do you come back from that? Most people don't. They remarry, they move on, they bury their grief under new beginnings. But Keanu never did. He stayed exactly where he was, emotionally frozen in time. Not stuck, just still. And maybe that's why he's never walked down the aisle.
You and I could get married if you wanted to. That would get you right in.
After Jennifer's death, something in Keanu changed for good. He didn't just step back, he vanished, at least emotionally. Sure, he kept acting. He took on films like The Matrix, throwing himself into work like it was a lifeline. But outside of the screen, he became a ghost. You'd see him on red carpets, standing quietly on the edges, always polite, always humble, but never fully there. Fans started noticing the pattern. He'd show up to events alone. He'd avoid interviews unless absolutely necessary. Even when he was in the biggest franchises in Hollywood, there was no sense of ego. No look at me energy. Just a man doing his job and disappearing as soon as the cameras stopped flashing. And with that absence, with that silence, the speculation just kept growing louder. People were trying to connect the dots. Why hadn't he remarried? Why didn't he even seem to be dating for long stretches of time? And when photos would pop up of him having dinner with a woman, it was never someone he was seen with again. It was like watching a man who had all the fame in the world, and yet none of the attachments. Some fans said he was just grieving. Others said he was a private romantic who refused to let the public consume his personal life. But in Hollywood, mystery doesn't sit quietly. It spreads. And the rumors? They began to evolve. People started pointing at his roles again, looking back at every performance for some kind of clue. Even in action flicks, there was often a tenderness in Keanu's characters, a softness. He played lonely men, devoted men, misfits, outcasts, sometimes romantic, often tragic, but always complicated. Then there were the whispers about his close male friendships, most notably his long, loyal bond with River Phoenix. They had been so close, so effortlessly intertwined, that even decades later, people were still reading into it. The same went for his connection to other male actors he worked with. Photos were picked apart. Every hug, every smile, every casual touch was examined like evidence. And let's not forget that Keanu never once corrected the record. Not when fans speculated that he might be queer. Not when tabloids tried to out him. Not even when talk shows poked fun at the idea. He never said yes. He never said no. He just didn't play the game. And in doing that, Keanu carved out a rare space for himself. A space where he didn't have to define his sexuality. A space where he could be soft, emotional, artistic, and still be taken seriously. That's no small feat in a business built on machismo and carefully crafted images. While other actors spent years carefully shaping their public identities, Keanu didn't bother. He didn't post romantic pictures on Instagram. He didn't parade girlfriends in front of the press. He never gave a day in the life feature to People magazine. He just let the mystery sit there, quietly humming in the background. Some people took that silence as an invitation to assume. Others saw it as a kind of power, the ability to live authentically without having to explain yourself to anyone. Still, the fascination never faded. Every time he stepped out with someone new, even platonically, headlines flared up. Who is she? Are they dating? Is this the one? And every time, Keanu would respond the only way he knew how, by saying absolutely nothing. It wasn't until 2019 that the public saw something different.
Biggest misconception people have about Keanu Reeves?
That I'm sad all the time.
At a Los Angeles art gala, Keanu walked the red carpet holding hands with a woman. Her name was Alexandra Grant, an artist. Silver hair, quiet beauty. Not your typical Hollywood bombshell, and that's exactly what made people take notice. The moment was gentle, no theatrics, no announcement, just a man showing up with someone who seemed to bring him peace. And yet, even then, no one could say what it meant. They weren't engaged. They weren't talking about marriage. There were no magazine covers, just a handful of photos and another question to add to the pile. Was this the one? Or was this just another chapter in Keanu's carefully protected life? Because if there's one thing Keanu Reeves has taught us by now, it's that appearances rarely tell the full story. And love, in his world, doesn't look like the love we're used to seeing in Hollywood. It's quieter, slower, maybe even lonelier. But that doesn't mean it isn't real. In the decades that Keanu Reeves has been in the public eye, one question has never really gone away. Why has he never gotten married? By now, he's reached an age where most of his Hollywood peers have walked down the aisle at least once, often multiple times. Yet Keanu remains unmarried, and that fact, simple as it is, has become one of the most enduring elements of his mystique. There are no official statements, no heartfelt interviews explaining why. And unlike many of his peers, Keanu hasn't offered fans much insight into his views on marriage, family life, or long-term partnership. He's simply continued to live without the title of husband, despite decades of public interest and speculation. Some of the women he's been romantically linked to over the years include Sofia Coppola, China Chow, and more recently, visual artist Alexandra Grant. Each relationship sparked a fresh round of headlines, yet none of them led to marriage. With Alexandra, whom he's been seen holding hands with at events since around 2019, the press began to speculate again. Was this finally the one? Was Keanu, after all these years, about to take that step? But no announcement came, no engagement, no wedding, just more photographs of the two together, then long stretches of silence. Even as recently as 2023 and 2024, interviewers treaded carefully, hoping he might offer some kind of explanation or comment about his personal life. He didn't. As always, he answered only what he wanted to, and rarely more than that. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.